There's a quiet group of people in this world who don't wait for permission. They don't live on excuses. They don't hope. They act. They don't crave comfort. They chase the uncomfortable, the unknown, the seemingly impossible. These people are not superheroes, not born with silver spoons or divine gifts. They are the 1%, not defined by wealth but by mindset. You may have passed them on the street. They might not always be loud or flashy, but their energy is different. Their gaze is focused. Their posture is determined, and their aura is untouchable. These are the high performers, the relentless few who've decided they will not live a life of what-ifs. They've chosen purpose over popularity, discipline over distraction, and long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. And while the rest of the world snoozes, complains about Mondays, or waits for motivation, these individuals are already miles ahead, building something the world can't ignore. But here's the truth. The 1% mindset isn't a gift. It's a decision. A decision that anyone, yes, even you, can make. Let's rewind for a moment. Think of someone like David Goggins, a man who went from an overweight exterminator to a Navy SEAL and ultra-endurance athlete. Or J.K. Rowling, who was a single mom living on welfare before the world knew the name Harry Potter. Or Elon Musk, who risked everything, multiple times, while building companies the world called crazy. They weren't handed success. They were handed hardship. And what made them different wasn't luck. It was how they thought in the face of adversity. That's the 1% mindset. It's waking up with purpose when no one's watching. It's doing the work after the excitement is gone. It's believing in the outcome even when there's no evidence it's coming. It's not about having more, it's about becoming more. This isn't about ego, it's about effort. Because in a world addicted to comfort, the 1% are addicted to growth. While others scroll, they study. While others gossip, they grind. While others retreat, they rise. And while society shouts, "Take it easy," they whisper to themselves, "Let's go harder." And make no mistake, this mindset isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's not about never failing. It's about never quitting. The 1% mindset doesn't guarantee success tomorrow, but it builds something stronger, unshakable character, immovable discipline, and a life that refuses to be average. So why should this matter to you? Because you were never meant to blend in. You weren't designed to drift, to coast, or to settle. Deep inside, you've felt it, that fire, that restlessness, that quiet voice that says, "You're made for more." That's not a fantasy. That's your potential screaming for a chance. This video isn't just motivation, it's a mirror. It's here to reflect the person you're capable of becoming. Throughout the next chapters, we'll break down the 7 unshakable rules that define the 1% mindset. Rules that you can apply starting today, no matter where you live, how old you are, or what your past looks like. It's time to stop waiting. Stop watching others live the life you dream of. Stop scrolling past greatness and start building your own. Because the difference between the 1% and everyone else isn't talent. It's choice. And the best part? You can choose to become one of them. Rule 1. Embrace discomfort. Like it's your training ground, the average person runs from discomfort. The 1%? They run toward it. They understand that pain is not the enemy, it's the path. Growth lives on the edge of discomfort, and every high achiever knows this simple truth. Comfort is a cage, and freedom lives on the other side of struggle. Let's talk about Michael. He was a regular guy from Ohio. Not a prodigy, not a millionaire, not born with connections. But he had one thing most people don't. He was tired of being average. He was tired of feeling like life was happening to him. So one day he did something small. He woke up at 5 a.m. and went for a run. It hurt. His lungs burned, his legs screamed, and his mind told him to stop. But something inside him whispered, "Keep going." That whisper would change everything. Michael began to embrace discomfort daily: cold showers, early mornings, reading instead of scrolling, lifting when his body begged for rest. He didn't chase pain for pain's sake. He chased the discipline that comes with it. Fast forward 2 years, and Michael wasn't just in shape. He was running a business, speaking on stages, and mentoring others who felt lost. What changed? Not his circumstances, his mindset. That's the 1% mindset in action. Look at your own life. What are you avoiding? That difficult conversation, that morning workout, that side hustle you keep delaying. Every time you choose comfort, you choose stagnation. Every time you choose discomfort, you choose evolution. Think about the butterfly. Before it becomes something beautiful, it struggles. It fights its way out of a cocoon. That resistance, those painful moments, are what strengthen its wings. If someone tries to help too soon, the butterfly never flies. That's nature's design, and life works the same way. The pressure, the grind, the sweat, it's not punishment. It's preparation. Discomfort is not a signal to stop. It's a green light to grow. High performers don't wait until it feels right. They show up when it's hard, when it's dark, when motivation is dead. They have reprogrammed their mind to see struggle not as suffering, but as training. Every difficult moment is a rep in the mental gym. Every setback is a lesson, not a loss. That's how you build the kind of resilience that can't be faked. Here's the brutal truth. If you avoid discomfort, you avoid your potential. And if you want to unlock the 1% mindset, you need to befriend the pain that everyone else runs from. You have to flip the switch in your brain that says, "This is hard, so I'll stop," and replace it with, "This is hard, so I must continue." Because every champion you admire, every elite performer, entrepreneur, artist, or athlete has one thing in common. They were willing to do what others wouldn't. They weren't superhuman. They were just uncomfortable more often than everyone else. So starting today, embrace the cold, the early, the heavy, the awkward, the unfamiliar. Those are your new allies. Discomfort isn't a wall, it's a door. And behind it is the stronger, sharper, more capable version of you. Isn't about loving pain. It's about respecting what pain builds. It's about choosing growth over ease, power over passivity, and becoming the kind of person who doesn't flinch when life gets tough, but leans in with grit, fire, and unshakable will. The 1% didn't get there by avoiding discomfort. They got there by becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. And now it's your turn. Rule 2. Build discipline when motivation disappears. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. The 1% know this. They never rely on how they feel to decide what they do. They've built routines so strong, even on the worst days, their actions don't waver. Because while motivation might wake you up, only discipline will keep you moving when everything in you screams to stop. Let's rewind to the story of Alicia, a young single mother working 2 jobs, studying at night, and chasing a dream of starting her own business. At first, she was motivated, inspired by books, podcasts, and late-night YouTube videos. But within weeks, life hit hard. Her baby got sick. Her car broke down. Her energy dropped. Motivation? Gone. Most would quit. But Alicia didn't. Why? Because she had replaced motivation with non-negotiable habits. She had created a system. She studied every night at 10 p.m., tired or not. She woke up before sunrise to research, write, and plan. She didn't ask herself how she felt. She just did the work. 2 years later, her online business was thriving, and she no longer needed those 2 jobs. Her life had changed. Not because of motivation, but because of discipline. The 1% don't depend on feelings, they depend on structure. They don't wake up wondering if they feel like showing up. They've already decided they will. Their minds are trained to understand that discipline is freedom. Freedom from excuses, from delay, from regret. Freedom from living a life dictated by mood. Let's be real. You won't feel inspired every day. Life will exhaust you. People will disappoint you. Your goals will feel distant. But that's where discipline steps in. Discipline shows up with its boots on, ready to march, even when the road is uphill. It whispers, "We made a promise. Let's go." Think of discipline as a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. The first early morning is hell. The 10th is better. The 100th, it becomes part of you. The 1% didn't get lucky. They just showed up more consistently than everyone else. They've trained their minds to honor the commitment, not the emotion. Remember Kobe Bryant? He wasn't just talented, he was relentless. He practiced when others partied. He trained at 4 a.m. while others slept. He didn't do it because it was fun. He did it because greatness requires structure. His legacy wasn't built in front of crowds. It was built in lonely gyms under fluorescent lights, in silence. That's the power of discipline. It builds you in the dark. And when the lights come on, the world sees the result, but only you know the cost. So how do you build discipline? Start small. 1 habit, 1 promise. Keep it every day. Whether it's waking up early, writing for 10 minutes, hitting the gym, or drinking more water, build muscle. Let discipline run your day, not emotions. And when you fall, get back up immediately. No shame, just reps. Discipline is a quiet warrior. It's not glamorous. It won't get likes. But it will get results, the kind of results that last. Because while motivation is temporary, discipline is transformational. So the next time you don't feel like doing the work, remember this. The 1% don't need to feel ready. They just need to remember who they are. And who you are is someone who finishes what they start, someone who doesn't wait to feel good to do what's right, someone who shows up no matter what. When motivation dies, let discipline drive. And if you master that, you'll become unstoppable. Rule 3. Focus relentlessly, starve your distractions. In today's world, distraction is the enemy of greatness. It doesn't always come in the form of failure or tragedy. Most often it comes silently. A ping, a scroll, a notification, a voice whispering, "Just 5 more minutes." And before you know it, you've traded progress for temporary pleasure. The 1% understand something critical. If you don't control your focus, something else will. Meet Jordan. Just an ordinary guy with an extraordinary dream, to become a filmmaker. But every day, he found himself trapped in a loop. Wake up, check his phone, scroll through social media, watch one video, then another. He told himself he'd start working after this clip, but hours passed, and the day was gone. His dream? Still a dream. No scripts written, no footage shot. Until one day, Jordan hit a wall. He saw another filmmaker, younger and with fewer resources, go viral and get signed by a major studio. That moment hit him like a punch to the gut, not because he was jealous, but because he knew he had the same potential. The only difference? Focus. From that moment, he declared war on distraction. He deleted social media. He started time-blocking every hour of his day. He used noise-canceling headphones, turned off notifications, and made his work sacred. In just 6 months, he produced a short film that won awards at 3 international festivals. What changed? Not his talent, not his luck, just his ability to focus. Here's the harsh truth. Distraction is stealing your future. Every time you allow it in, you're handing over your dreams, inch by inch, to something that doesn't deserve it. Social media, gossip, binge-watching, overthinking, it's all noise. And the 1% don't allow noise to run their life. They protect their attention like gold, because they know attention is the new currency. Whoever controls your attention controls your life. Think of focus like sunlight. Spread out, it warms. Concentrated through a lens, it burns through steel. Your potential works the same way. If you scatter it, nothing catches fire. But if you focus it, you can melt through limitations that once looked impossible. The 1% build systems to guard their focus. They plan their days the night before. They wake up with intention. They set boundaries. They say no, often and unapologetically. Not because they're rude, but because they understand that saying no to distractions is saying yes to their destiny. And yes, it's uncomfortable. People won't always understand. You might be seen as too intense, too rigid, but guess what? Legends aren't made by being liked. They're made by being locked in. So what's distracting you? Is it your phone, your fear, toxic people, your own self-doubt dressed up as research? Identify it, eliminate it, or at the very least, contain it. Build environments that support focus, not sabotage it. Because every time you allow a distraction, you reset your progress clock. And your time is too valuable for that. Focus is a skill. One the 1% have mastered, and you can too. Start by deciding that your goals matter more than dopamine, that your future deserves your full attention, that your life is too important to be lived in pieces, split between a million useless tabs. Starve your distractions and feed your focus. Make your mind a fortress. Make your attention sacred. And watch how fast your life transforms when your energy is no longer scattered, but aimed like a laser at what truly matters. You don't need more time. You just need more focus. Rule 4, own everything. No excuses, no blame, just responsibility. If there's one rule that separates the 1% from the rest of the world, it's this. They own everything. They win. Their failures, their actions, their reactions. They don't point fingers, don't blame the world, and don't wait for someone else to save them. They live by a simple principle. If it's in my life, I'm responsible for it. Now let's talk about Marcus, a former college athlete who blew out his knee during his final season. Everything he had worked for, his scholarship, his pro dreams, vanished in an instant. For a year, he spiraled. He blamed the coach, the medical staff, and the universe. He fell into depression, stopped training, and nearly dropped out of school. Then one day, while scrolling aimlessly through YouTube, he stumbled across a video from a Navy SEAL talking about extreme ownership. Something clicked. The man in the video said, "It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility." That single sentence shattered Marcus's mindset. He couldn't change what happened, but he could change what he did next. So he got back up. Not physically, his knee would never be the same, but mentally. He shifted his identity from athlete to leader. He doubled down on his studies, started mentoring younger students, and eventually earned his degree with honors. Today, he runs a nationwide nonprofit that supports injured athletes in finding new purposes. All of that happened because he chose to own his life. No excuses. You see, life will deal you cards you didn't ask for. People will hurt you. Circumstances will blindside you. But the 1% never say, "It's not fair." They say, "It's mine to handle." That's power. Because when you blame others, you give away your power. You become a victim of circumstance, a passenger in your own story. But when you take responsibility, even for things you didn't cause, you reclaim control. You become the author of your life, not just a character in it. Think of every excuse you've ever made. I didn't have time. They didn't support me. I wasn't born with that advantage. The 1% don't use those lines, not because they're superhuman, but because they know excuses don't build empires. Ownership does. This rule is hard. It requires brutal honesty. It means looking in the mirror and saying, "I messed up." It means admitting when you procrastinate, when you're lazy, when you let fear win. But that kind of honesty, it's rare, it's powerful, and it's the gateway to unlimited growth. Because once you take full responsibility, something incredible happens. You can change anything. You're no longer waiting, you're acting. You stop being reactive and start being relentless. And don't mistake ownership for self-blame. This isn't about guilt. It's about agency. The 1% know they're not always at fault, but they take control anyway. It's not about what happened to you. It's about what you do now. So here's your challenge. No more excuses. No more blaming your past, your parents, your boss, the government, or your circumstances. Own your energy. Own your decisions. Own your outcomes. Because the moment you do, your life begins to shift. You can't change the world by waiting for it to treat you better. You change the world by deciding to lead yourself better. Own everything. No blame, no excuses, just responsibility. That's not just how the 1% live, that's how they win. And starting today, so can you. Rule 5. Obsess over progress, not perfection. The 1% aren't perfect. In fact, most of them are far from it. But what makes them extraordinary is this. They're obsessed with progress. Every day they aim to get just a little better. They don't wait for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, or the perfect version of themselves. They take what they have, where they are, and they move forward inch by inch, day by day. Let's talk about Leah. She wanted to become a writer, but for years she never started. Why? Because she didn't feel ready. Her grammar wasn't polished. Her story ideas didn't feel groundbreaking. Every time she sat down to write, her inner critic screamed, "You're not good enough." So she waited. Days turned into months, months into years. Until one night she watched an interview with a best-selling author who said, "My first draft is always terrible, but I write it anyway." That hit Leah like lightning. The author wasn't chasing perfection. She was chasing momentum. That night, Leah wrote her first page. The next day, she wrote 2 more. She committed to writing every day. Bad or good didn't matter. Just progress. A year later, Leah self-published her first novel. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And it changed her life. That's what the 1% understand. Perfection is a lie that kills dreams before they ever begin. Progress is what builds legacies. Perfection is rooted in fear, fear of judgment, of failure, of not measuring up. But progress, it's built on courage. It's a quiet promise you make to yourself. I will keep going, no matter what. Think about the gym. You don't walk on day 1 expecting to deadlift 400 pounds. You start small, You build, you adapt, and over time, your body transforms. The same principle applies to everything: business, creativity, relationships, self-worth. It's all about the compound effect of consistent effort. The 1% know that greatness is not one giant leap. It's thousands of small, often invisible steps. They don't fear being a beginner. They embrace it. Because being bad at something is the first step to being great at it. They're not afraid to look foolish. They understand that every master was once a disaster. And they don't compare their chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. They stay in their lane. They keep their eyes on their own climb. You see, perfection is a moving target. No matter how close you get, it shifts. It whispers lies. Not yet, not good enough, try again later. But progress? Progress tells the truth. You're further than you were yesterday. Keep going. So here's what you need to do. Show up, do the work, even when it's messy, even when you feel like a fraud, even when the voice in your head says, "This isn't good enough." That voice is fear. And fear doesn't get a vote. Track your growth. Celebrate small wins. Keep a journal. Measure backward, not by how far you still have to go, but by how far you've come. That's how momentum is built. That's how confidence is earned. And remember this: perfect never changed the world, but progress always does. Obsess over progress, not perfection, is your permission slip to stop waiting and start building. Because your dream isn't asking for perfection, it's asking for your presence, your effort, and your grit. So stop polishing, stop procrastinating, and take the next step. Progress over perfection, always. Rule 6. Guard your circle. Energy is contagious. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. It's more than a quote. It's a law of life. The 1% know this better than anyone. Who you surround yourself with is either building your future or burying it. Your environment is not neutral. It's either feeding your fire or suffocating it. And nothing impacts your mindset more than your circle. Let's look at Eric, a talented young man with massive dreams of becoming a successful entrepreneur. He had the skills, the ideas, the hunger, but his circle, full of excuses. Friends who laughed at ambition, who were comfortable complaining, who spent weekends partying and weekdays surviving. Every time Eric talked about his goals, they rolled their eyes. Why work so hard? Just chill, man. And little by little, Eric began to shrink himself to fit in, until one day he met someone different. A quiet but intense mentor who listened, challenged him, and asked a single question that changed everything. Are your friends reflections of who you were or who you want to become? That hit Eric like a gut punch, because deep down he knew he was clinging to comfort, not growth. That day, he made the hardest decision of his life. He began distancing himself from the noise, not with hate, but with intention. He replaced gossip with podcasts, late nights with early mornings, toxic friends with mentors, dreamers, builders. Within a year, Eric's business was real. Not perfect, but alive. And more importantly, he was alive again, clear, focused, hungry, all because he changed his circle. The truth is, you become like the people you spend the most time with. If they complain, you complain. If they quit, you quit. If they gossip, you gossip. But if they grind, you grind. If they grow, you grow. If they dream bigger, you start to believe in your own dreams too. The 1% protect their energy like it's sacred, because it is. They don't entertain drama. They don't waste hours in toxic conversations. They don't keep people around out of obligation. They choose alignment over attachment. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Some people belong in your past, not your future. This doesn't mean cutting everyone off. It means curating your circle, choosing intentionally, spending more time around those who challenge you, inspire you, push you. People who speak life into your vision, no doubt. People who remind you of your greatness when you forget. People who make you uncomfortable in the best possible way. It's not easy. Sometimes the hardest part of growth is outgrowing people. But staying small for the sake of comfort, that's not loyalty. That's self-betrayal. Ask yourself, who around me is sharpening me? Who is draining me? Who celebrates my wins? And who stays silent? These answers will reveal everything. The 1% don't keep perfect circles. They keep purposeful ones. And sometimes they walk alone until they find the right tribe. But they never settle for less than what their future requires. So here's your move. Audit your circle. Elevate your standards. Be brave enough to let go of what holds you back, and bold enough to attract those who pull you forward. Because energy is contagious. And when you're surrounded by the right people, you don't have to push yourself every day. They'll help pull you up, guard your circle, grow your circle, or outgrow it. The people around you should be proof that your future is possible, not reminders of why you'll never get there. Protect your energy, because your dream depends on it. Rule 7. Play the long game. Stay relentless, stay patient. We live in a world obsessed with speed. Everyone wants the shortcut, the fast pass, the overnight success. But the 1%, they play a different game, the long game. They know real success isn't about how fast you go. It's about how long you're willing to keep going when everyone else gives up. It's about building, brick by brick, day after day, year after year, until the world can't ignore what you've created. Let's talk about Simone. She dreamed of becoming a world-renowned architect. But unlike her peers who quickly jumped into firms and flashy internships, she took a slower route, one filled with study, mistakes, rebuilding, and rejection. At times, she questioned everything. Friends landed high-paying jobs while she was still grinding at her desk, drawing designs no one saw. People doubted her. Some even laughed at her pace. But Simone didn't stop. Because she wasn't chasing applause. She was chasing mastery. 10 years later, her designs were being used in landmark projects across Europe. The very people who once doubted her were now seeking her advice. What made her different? Not talent, not luck, patience, persistence, relentless commitment to the long game. The 1% think in decades, not days. They understand that anything worthwhile, real health, wealth, relationships, impact, takes time. They don't get distracted by shiny objects or shortcuts. They're not worried about going viral. They're building something that lasts. Think about a bamboo tree. For years, it doesn't break the surface. While nothing seems to be happening above ground, roots are growing deep and wide, preparing to support explosive growth. And then, in a matter of weeks, it shoots up feet into the sky. That's how greatness works. Invisible progress, followed by visible impact. Most people give up at the root stage. When it's boring, when it's slow, when results don't show up. But the 1%? They trust the process. They keep showing up not because it's easy, but because their vision demands it. They're not addicted to results. They're committed to the work. Playing the long game also means accepting setbacks as part of the journey. You'll fail. You'll be overlooked. You'll question yourself. But none of that means you're losing. It just means you're learning. You're building resilience. You're earning the right to be called great. The people you admire, the icons, the innovators, the champions, they weren't built in a year. They spent years in obscurity, in discomfort, in rejection. But they kept going, because the long game rewards those who refuse to quit. So here's what you need to ask yourself. Can I be patient with the process? Can I stay loyal to my goal even when it's not paying off yet? Because success doesn't come to the most talented. It comes to the most committed. The ones who show up on the days they don't feel like it. The ones who stay hungry even when no one is watching. Your reminder that slow progress is still progress, that real growth takes time, that playing the long game isn't about moving fast. It's about never stopping. It's about showing the world what happens when someone refuses to fold. So be relentless. Be patient. Stay locked in when it's boring. Stay consistent when it's quiet. Because while the rest of the world quits at mile 10, the 1% dig deep and run to the finish line again and again. This is not a sprint. This is your life. Play the long game and play it like a champion. Choose the 1% mindset and never look back. By now, you've seen the truth. The 1% mindset isn't about being born with some rare talent. It's not about luck, wealth, or timing. It's about how you think, how you move, and how you refuse to live an ordinary life. The 1% don't have easier lives. They have stronger minds. Minds that embrace discomfort instead of running from it. Minds built on discipline, not just emotion. Minds that lock in on goals, block out noise, and take radical ownership of everything they touch. They don't chase perfection. They chase progress. They protect their circle, guard their focus, and most importantly, they stay in the game long after the rest of the world gives up. But here's the part that matters most. This mindset is available to you. Right now. Today. No matter where you live, what you've done, or what you've lost, you can decide to flip the switch. You can decide to think like the 1%, act like the 1%, and build a life that reflects your highest potential. And yes, it will be hard. There will be days when you want to quit. Mornings when the alarm feels like a weight. Nights when no one claps for you. Progress will feel invisible. Sacrifice will feel endless. And people around you won't understand why you're choosing this path. But that's the price. That's the trade. You give up comfort now to earn greatness later. You let go of distractions today to own your future tomorrow. You say no to average so you can say yes to the extraordinary life that's calling your name. Think back to the rules. 1. You embrace discomfort not because you enjoy pain, but because pain is your teacher. 2. You build discipline so when motivation fades, you still move forward. 3. You focus relentlessly, knowing attention is the new currency of success. 4. You own everything because excuses don't build empires. 5. You obsess over progress, not perfection, because movement matters more than flawless intentions. 6. You guard your circle, protecting your energy like it's sacred fuel. 7. And you play the long game, knowing that every step, no matter how small, is taking you somewhere great. Now ask yourself, are you willing to live differently? To show up when it's easier to stay in bed? To rise when others retreat? To believe in yourself when the world gives you every reason to doubt? Because the 1% aren't superheroes. They're not beyond reach. They are simply people who made a decision and stuck to it. And that decision is now yours to make. You can go back to scrolling, to doubt, to wait. Or you can choose to wake up tomorrow with fire in your soul. You can choose to train your mind like an athlete trains their body. You can choose to stop reacting and start leading your own life. You're not too late. You're not too old. You're not underqualified. You are ready, right now, to adopt the 1% mindset. And once you do, everything begins to change. Not overnight, but over time. With every action, every habit, every battle you fight and win, even the silent ones. So step forward, step into the mindset. Leave behind the old story and write a new one fueled by purpose, power, and the unshakable decision to never settle again. This is your moment. Choose the 1% mindset and never look back.